After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Commonwealth of Kentucky from Unicomm Productions. I'm your cruise director, Kristen, and in this video we'll visit two malls from the west side of the state: Parkway Plaza Mall in Madisonville and TOWNE Square Mall in Owensboro. We'll start with Parkway Plaza Mall, which opened on July 30th, 1980 with the anchors JCPenney, Harvey's, and Rose's Discount Store. It still maintains a lot of 80s design cues, but also includes that scourge of the early 2000s, carpeted floors. At least it seems pretty clean in here, probably because all the places to eat have seating inside and people aren't walking around with ices and pretzels. That's always the thing with carpeted malls, it has to be pretty well maintained or it starts to look gross pretty quickly. The Rose's Discount Store closed in the mid-90s and was replaced by Dow O'Hare's and Goodies. Dow O'Hare's closed in 2008 and is now a shoe store. Goodies was converted to a Burke's Outlet when Goodies closed as a chain. Curiously, Goodies and Peebles are both owned by Stage Stores, and Stage is in the process of closing all their Peebles and rebranding them as Gordman's, an off-price competitor to TJ Maxx and Marshalls. It is also a competitor to Burke's Outlet. Off-price is a hot sector right now, but this is a small mall in a small town, so it'll be interesting to see over the next couple years that they both manage to stick around. JCPenney closed in 2000, and that end of the mall was converted to an AMC Theaters and a steakhouse called Tumbleweed in 2002. Harvey's became Young's during the 80s, and then later became Peebles in the late 80s. Madisonville is a small town surrounded by manufacturing and is only about 40 minutes from Owensboro and an hour from Evansville, Indiana. I found this mall completely by accident when passing by on the highway, and I'm glad I decided to stop in. This mall has what seems to be the oldest Regis hairstylist facade in existence. Diagonal paneling is such an 80s look. You definitely don't see it much anymore. I imagine it was hard to cut accurately. The huge empty store space you see off to the left was once a branch of the local library, who were asked to leave in 2012 because the owners were in final talks for a new anchor. As you can see, there's no new anchor in its place. I couldn't find a name for the new anchor, but it was described as a bedding outlet. The library renovated a building downtown and left the mall in 2015. This mall was purchased by Urshik Properties in 1997. The article announcing the purchase characterized the mall at the time as ailing, but didn't elaborate. Urshik seems to own primarily small malls and open-air plazas and are based locally in Henderson, Kentucky. They're doing the best they can in the current climate. This mall is clean and doesn't have a bunch of buckets sitting around. In the wrong hands, I imagine it would end up looking a lot like Woodland Mall in Bowling Green, Ohio. This mall has some really interesting design cues, but I can't help but feel that this warm sort of yellow tone color scheme they've got going on for the walls is all wrong when put next to these gray columns and tilework planters. It seems like the modern updates to old malls go in two directions: white, white, and more white, or warm neutrals. And the mirrors around the ceiling are really cool. saw a billboard for this place along the highway and I needed to stop anyway, and I had to see the famous butt drugs for itself. Butt drugs in it, butt liquors. It's an old-fashioned pharmacy that still has a soda fountain, and yes, before you ask, they have parking in the rear, along with a great selection of moonshine. This is TOWNE SQUARE Mall in Owensboro, Kentucky. This mall isn't exactly dead, neither of the malls in this episode are. I think in 2019, when we're talking about small malls in small cities, we have to adjust our expectations about what thriving looks like. With how many staples of suburban malls have closed or drastically shed locations in the last couple years, if you've got a mall that's under 700,000 square feet and it's much above 60% occupancy, you're succeeding. Owensboro is the fourth largest city in Kentucky, and until this decade had 2 malls serving a metro population of about 100,000. The other mall, Lincoln Mall, is now a church and closed in the early part of this decade. TOWNE SQUARE Mall opened on February 22, 1978, anchored by Sears, JCPenney, and Bacon's. At opening, the mall was home to a Morrison's cafeteria and a location of a small department store called Bainham's that had a cage with 2 live monkeys in their children's department. It was also home to a store called Just Pants, whose write-up in the grand opening supplement in Owensboro's newspaper was headlined, "Getting Bigger with Britches." At what point during the 70s and mid-80s did the stores that sold only pants, like Just Pants and Pants Explosion, fall out of favor? I don't remember ever going to a store that only sold the bottom half of an outfit, even as a kid. Did they partner with stores that only sold shirts? Yeah, head on down to Top It Up and get a shirt that'll match these pants perfectly. Tell them Dave at Just Pants sent you. The pants store, the shirt store, the hosiery store, no wonder people spent all day at the mall. You had to visit 5 stores to put an outfit together. Maybe they were onto something. People dressed much smarter back then. Bacon's was part of Mercantile stores who were sold to Dillard's in 1998. This location was one of 26 stores sold to the May Department Store Company, and Bacon's became Famous Bar. When May Department Stores was purchased by Federated in 2005, Famous Bar became Macy's, which it remains to this day. It's a nice store, but it's maybe the smallest Macy's I've ever been in, and they were pretty busy on the day I was there. Sears closed in 2014 and has remained vacant since. Not even Spirit Halloween seems to have made an appearance. I'm going to guess that this vape store here was an arcade. It looks like an arcade. One last look at the center court, which you may have guessed used to be a noticeably absent fountain, and we say goodbye to Town Square Mall in Owensboro for now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share with your friends if you think they'd like it too. Our channel is sponsored in part by Patreon donations. If you'd like to become a Patreon donor, please see the link in our description. I'm Kristen, my co-pilot is Ron, and we are Unicomm Productions, and we'll see you next time.